In the past, I used to think that when people speak and they speak non-stop without pausing, that means that they know what they're saying, and that's a good way to communicate. I thought that was an effective way of communicating. But over the years, as I started learning more about communication, I joined Maxwell Leadership and Toastmasters International. I started giving speeches. I learned that that's not the best way to communicate. People who try to speak non-stop are not the best communicators. Generally, we have a tendency to think that when people speak about 10 words in 1 second, that means that they know what they're talking about because that they're speaking so fast. The assumption of, oh, they know what they're talking about and things like that. But then that's not always true. Think about it. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and during the conversation they were talking so fast, saying a lot of words, saying a lot of things, and using communication that was so fast that you couldn't really understand what they're talking about. And you saw on their facial expression that they're excited. They're excited about what they're saying, but then how were you able to communicate with such a person that you did not understand what they were saying, even though they were using a lot of words and talking for a long time and probably not even stopping for 1 second? How did you feel when you experienced such a thing? The tip for today is to find the right word. Find the right word before you speak. Find the right choice of word before you speak. There's so many reasons why this is very important. It could be because of cultural differences, or because you have a person that is coming from one country into another country and you're considered to have accent, in which case many people think you're putting the stress on the wrong syllable. So it's probably going to take some time before people can understand what you're talking about. The more reason why it's important to use the right word, because saying the wrong word could separate people and isolate them. And usually they say words are like eggs. When you throw them on the floor, you cannot pack it together anymore. Therefore, it's very important to take this seriously. Then how is it possible to achieve this? One of the ways is to just increase your vocabulary about words and also know the type of environment you can learn. Another way is to also know for sure that communication is just not about speaking, like talking and using words non-stop. It's more than that. There's a part of communication we call pausing. You pause for some time. That means that you're talking, and you pause for a few seconds without saying anything. And most people are not used to that. And the assumption, like I said, is people think you don't know what you want to say because you paused. That's not true. When you pause, you're giving the person that you're talking to some time to catch up with what you're saying. And usually people need to catch up with what you're saying for so many reasons. Then the next one is also just silence. Silence means you're not even saying anything. It's a form of communication. If you have experienced it before, when people communicate, when you send message to people and you're engaging somebody, sometimes Not saying anything may mean that they're communicating something to you, and you have to know what that could mean in the case of the person that you're communicating with. Then another part of communication that we don't talk about is gestures. Right? I've seen people talk, communicate, give speeches, and within the speeches, they decide not to say something or nothing during the speech. They said nothing, and all they did was gestures for a few minutes, body language, head movement, neck, and other things. And that's a form of communication, such that if you're speaking with someone and for some reason you just went blank for a second, and you know the gestures that go with what you want to say, that means you can actually just gesture first, then most of the time when you do the gesture, you can remember what you want to say. Then you can say it. And most people say gestures are like signal, right? Signal to know what you want to do, or signal to know where you want to go. Just like when you drive on the road, you get a signal. When the signal points out, then you drive. So that's one of the ways to just slow down, do appropriate gestures that goes with what you're saying. Then you can say what you want to say, and that will make it very effective. Searching for these words are very important because then you can come across as somebody who is interested in making sure the person understands what you're saying. And unfortunately, part of it is listening, which we don't want to hear because it's becoming harder and harder to listen to when people speak, especially if you disagree with what they're saying. You don't want them to finish what they're saying before you make them know that I don't agree with what you're saying. It's becoming a practice, but then it's something that we have to be intentional about, to listen while the person is speaking. But then the one that is even harder is to listen to yourself when you speak. I think that is even harder to do. And it feels like if you can't do the first one, which is listening to someone when they're speaking, then it's going to be even more difficult for you to listen to yourself when you speak. Because when you give speeches, when we have communication, sometimes in order for you to really know the next thing you want to say, or to know whether you want to change direction of what you're saying, you have to be able to listen to what you're saying while you're saying it. That means there's a level of quietness, there's a level of calmness that you have to have within you and in your environment that can help you to be able to listen to yourself clearly, such that you know what to say next because you just heard yourself clearly, internally and also externally. And that gives opportunity for better communication. That gives you opportunity to know that you don't have to always talk during a conversation. You can pause for some time to think about what you want to say. And if you don't have anything to say, don't say anything so that you don't put yourself in trouble, because that's also another part of it. Making ourselves feel that we have to say something, then in the process say the wrong thing, then of course the person that is actually pushing you to say something will be the first person to let you know you said the wrong thing. So why not just not say anything if you don't know what to say? Then if you now eventually decide you want to say something, after finding out or searching for the words, searching to your mind what you want to say, you want to use words that are in line with care, love, support, help, solution, things that people want to hear, empathy that people want to hear, that shows that you actually understand the situation and you're willing to support. Right? If you're just joining, what we're talking today is before you speak, try to find the right word for you to speak. You can use different methods to achieve this: pausing, gesture, silence, listening to the person that is talking, and listening to yourself. And when you find the right word, you want to show support, love, care in your words so that the person can be engaged and be more interested in what you're saying, and the communication can be effective. Also give time for the person to think about what you're saying and respond when you can. Thank you for joining today. If you're just joining, you can watch this video. You can also comment whether you support what we're saying or you disagree with what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. I would like to hear your opinion on the fact that we have to find the right words before speaking. Any situation you find yourself that you want to share, or you find another person that you want to share, that will also be helpful. Thank you for joining today, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.